T-minus 10 minutes. T-minus 9 minutes. T-minus 8 minutes. minus 7 minutes. T minus 6 minutes. T minus 5 minutes. 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
Well, here we go. Happy Football Friday, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. We're coming your way on the Game Plus Television Network and various other broadcast platforms, including YouTube Live and 1700 AM Mission Radio. It's RP here. We're just going to get to the football. Very interesting. I just opened up the Western Dogs text line from yesterday's show, and there's a lot of interesting texts from you there. I'm ready for the weekend. How about you? Jim Barker coming up in hour 2. Joe, 747 Gunnis, going to help us out with our NFL picks. Deal or No Deal. And Kevin the Medium joining us from Calgary, Alberta, Canada today. I'm going to dispense, Kev, with just about every other sport here because it's Football Friday. I'm assuming you're okay with that.
I think I'll be okay with that.
Okay, cool. Well, let's go. Some guy texted in and said, why are you blowing into the wrong end of the kazoo? Not a great way to... Hubby, you don't worry about it. We do have breaking news. I will say this before we do get to football. For the Panthers fans that are watching, because they're writing me already, Alexander Barkov is undergoing surgery on his right knee as we speak, and they fear his season is over. I'll talk about that later because, as I said... We're talking football. Week 4 of the NFL season kicked off in style Thursday night. Jason Myers made a 52-yard field goal as time expired to give the Seattle Seahawks a 23-20 win over Arizona. It was the Seahawks' 8th straight win over the Cards. Seattle's now 3-1. The Cardinals fall to 2-2 after a 2-0 start. And Kev, I'm going to tell you this. We've established this over the past few weeks. You're not the biggest NFL guy, but you watch it. And last night, I'm going to bed at halftime. It's like, what the heck was it? I want to say 17-3 for the Seahawks. I'm like, they're putting this to bed. And also I get up today. I'm like, what? Seahawks did win, but on a last-second field goal, very CFL-ish. To quote John, very CFL-ish is what the NFL is becoming with these wild endings. Are you noticing?
It's funny because it worked. I mean, especially with the stories that are happening right now with the CFL. Oh, we're Americanizing our game. And I think it's the other way around. I think the NFL is becoming more like the CFL. Exciting finishes. I mean, how many times have we said if you're up by 7 in an NFL game, the game's over? It's not like that anymore.
No. And I don't really know why. And I don't have the interest in examining that here right now. But there's a couple, because I know there's a lot of people showed up here today. Hour 1 is Canadian sports. We're going to get to the CFL stuff here, but the Cardinals were booed off the field at halftime. And I don't know if you spent much time in Phoenix. I've spent a ton of time there. I actually thought I was going to end up there. Ended up in Florida. It is what it is. But I just hate that. I don't care how aggrieved you are as a fan. You're a Vancouver Canucks fan. If anybody has reason to boo, it's Canucks fans. And I don't feel like they boo very often. You do? You have?
Yeah, the way I look at it, if you're at the game, you paid your money, you can cheer or boo. You want to take your jersey off and throw that $300 jersey onto the ice, you have every right, or onto the field in this, you have every right. Have I done it? Yeah, I'm guilty. You've seen me watch a football game. I'm usually calm, cool, and relaxed, but every once in a while I get a little bit emotionally involved in the game. And yeah, you're allowed to boo. I think that's part of your fandom. Cheer and boo.
You are. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I've been doing this show 7 years now. I think people realize by now, although we do have a lot of new viewers, but my dad always said, cheer for your own team as loud as you want, but don't ever boo the other team. That was my dad.
Yeah.
And he's like, and to boo your own team would be unspeakable in our household growing up, but that's just the way that I am. So anyway, hey, to each their own. I'm not judging. I just find it a little distasteful. Now, I said we're going to get to our Week 4 NFL picks later on when Joe Jones is in hour 2, but there are, Kev, 4 windows of games on Sunday. So we've talked about 9 hours of football in the past. Now there are 12 hours of football this Sunday beginning at 9:30 Eastern, 7:30 your time with the game in Ireland, the Steelers and the Vikings, and then all the way till midnight.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Who, I shouldn't ask who, because the majority of football fans in the U.S. will literally watch every hour of that broadcast because they're that crazy about football. It's like hockey night in Canada or hockey day in Canada that they have now, where it starts in the morning and it's every Canadian hockey team playing throughout the day. I watch that. I like it. 12 hours, that's a long time to sit in front of a TV. It's whew.
Well, what I will suggest to anybody that is upset about 12 straight hours of NFL football, it's like literally a buffet. Take what you want, leave the rest. We also say that about the 12-step programs in the meetings. Take what you want, leave the rest. So don't complain about 12 hours of football because they're going to do it anyways, and enjoy what you want. Which reminds me, the poll question is simply, what is America's game of the week in the NFL? I should mention that right now. There are some doozies. Baltimore, Kansas City, Green Bay, Dallas. Where's the Rams game? Oh, yeah, Indianapolis Colts, Los Angeles Rams. Those are the 3 options or other, and leading it is Ravens Chiefs, just so you know, everybody. You can vote on it. For me, it's Packers Cowboys. Obviously, that's my team. Now, in this opening segment, point 2, Edmonton Elks owner Larry Thompson is dead at age 65. The CFL team says he died from complications following an unspecified surgery. Thompson was a longtime season ticket holder before becoming team owner in August of 2024. I never met the guy, Larry Thompson. And I got to say, you and I were texting about this morning. You said that the franchise is cursed. If you don't mind me saying, it's cursed. So for the last decade, nothing worse could happen for the Edmonton Elks, previously Eskimos. What did you think when you saw this news?
I saw it last night when I first texted you it, and we were sitting having dinner, and it popped up on my phone, an email from the CFL, and it took me back. I was like, what? No, the guy's young. Like, I'm 60. He was 65. He was born in 1960, I think it was, and I was born in 64. Like, he's only 4 years older than me. He literally has been a lifelong fan of the CFL, like myself. He decided he had done good in life. He decided to take a step up and buy a team. He didn't even own it for
a dream.
I guess just over a year.
I think,
and it affected me. I'm not going to lie. It took me back, and I was like, ooh, that's gotta, like, wow. What else can happen to this poor franchise? Like,
well, I felt bad for the team. I felt bad for his family, and I wish I could have met the guy because he just looks like the guy that you'd love. He's always in a golf shirt or a T-shirt. He doesn't put on airs. He's not wearing a 3-piece suit. He's a heavy construction guy, from what I understand, a self-made millionaire and a season ticket holder. And he's like, damn it, I'm buying the team. He wanted to help this franchise. So condolences to the Thompson family, the Edmonton football franchise. We're going to delve deeply into CFL when we come back because it's a Football Friday. Jim Barker in hour 2 coming up. We are brought to you in part in hour 1 by Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. Pump Jack's Cathedral in Regina, Pump Jack's Weyburn. We'll be right back here on Game Plus TV.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
and
and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Nazareth's Canadian Farewell Tour is coming to Moose Jaw. Live at Temple Garden Center, October 17th. With special guest, Lee Aaron. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or sasktix.ca.
Football Friday continues on Game Plus TV. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, share, subscribe, comment. That helps us out a lot. We don't ask for much. And Hour 1 is brought to you in part by Outlaw Communications. Creativity isn't a hobby, it's a way of life. We craft bold strategies, sharp leadership training, and content that makes people lean in and listen. That's Outlaw Communications. Kevin the Medium is with us here in Hour 1, and we're moving on. We move fast, Kev, as you know. Quick 6 show topics. Number 1 was Thursday Night Football. Number 2 was Larry Thompson, the Elks owner, passing away. Number 3, we'll address, all the fans have comments. We'll address those later once Kevin's gone. We move fast. So Stuart Johnston, the commissioner of the CFL, was on the program yesterday. You watched the interview. A lot of people did. I'm coming back to you now and saying, what did you think of the interview? I asked him your question. Are these changes to the rules and fields supposed to sell tickets, or how will it? And to be honest, I obviously respect Stuart. I like him. He danced around that question and didn't really answer it in my mind. And he genuinely seems surprised at the vitriol and rage from CFL fans over these changes. That was kind of what my takeaway was from the interview. What was yours, Kev?
You know what? That was my takeaway too. And I was kind of shocked that he actually did admit that he wasn't prepared for that, for the kind of backlash that they're getting. You had mentioned to me this morning when we were chatting about comments on your YouTube feed. So I did, before we came on the air, I went back and just to yesterday's show and kind of scrolled through the comments, and holy crap, people, we can disagree. I've said it. I'm not a big fan of the changes or the way the changes are being fed to us, but to attack Rod, attack the commissioner personally, the way you guys were, way out of line. Holy crap. This is getting so big. It's being blown so crazily. you go on X, you go on Facebook, and it's just like, holy crap, I got to back up. I got to log off. And I mean, Jesus, we just lost the owner of the CFL. Like, we're happy to wake up this morning. We have the CFL. It's still here. Let's enjoy it.
Yeah, well, listen, we can spend this whole entire segment on this. And this is where you and I do agree, because we deal with people in very painful stages of their life in our other careers, right? So that just gives me a different perspective. And the other thing is, a lot of people out there in life are hurting. We're in a mental health crisis, and something like this just triggers them and sends them over the edge. They're not as mad about the CFL rules, but this is just the thing that is the straw that, causes them to snap. But having said that, I need to be a little more sensitive here, because I'm sitting here like you saying nobody died, okay? It's just football rules. But I told you in the middle of the show yesterday that Mark Trestman called me, the former coach of the Alouettes and the Chicago Bears. Yes. And so Mark called, and we've had a very close relationship for a very long time. And I'm not going to betray his confidence in quoting any of what he said, other than that he said he's not prepared to do any interviews on the CFL rule changes because he's kind of afraid of what he might say. Just let's put it this way. He's a football guy to the core, and he just didn't want to talk about it. He's very upset because he loves the Canadian game, just like you. He loves the rules. And I said, well, I kind of wasn't even wanting to talk to you about that. I said, we're going to air in Las Vegas next week, and you were the offensive coordinator of the Vegas Raiders for 3 years. I kind of wanted to talk. And he's like, okay. But still, let me just process this. And this was days after the announcement. So am I being insensitive to the people that are as offended about the rules being changed?
I don't know. I think we just look at things differently. Especially, and we've talked about this long before these changes were talked about. You and I have had the expansion talk many times, and I know that you weren't offended by, hey, let's expand into the States. You believe that's the way of the CFL. I'm getting there. I'm like, okay, if these changes are going to help the CFL grow, if making the game more Americanized, and I put that in quotation marks, then great, let's grow the CFL, but don't feed us the line of crap saying it's not Americanizing the game or not moving more towards an NFL style game. Because if that's what the CFL needs to do to grow, great, let's do it. But don't think we're children and pat us on the head and say, well, we're not Americanizing the game, we're just changing it a little bit. Well, you're changing it a whole lot.
Yeah. And as Stuart Johnston said yesterday, that was just step one. He seemed uncomfortable in the interview. I don't know if you got that sense. I did. So far more uncomfortable than the last time he was on. And it's because of him being used as a piñata by CFL fans here since Monday. It doesn't feel good. And anything I've got is minuscule compared to what he's got this week. Well, Rich in Edmonton. Go ahead.
I think he was expecting a lot for you to come at him harder than you did. And I know you well enough that you would never, ever do that. You would never pin someone against the wall when they're coming into your house and being gracious enough to come on your show. You would never do that. But I think people have made you a villain. One person in particular has made you a villain through all of, especially prior to the big announcement, because you called it what it was. And you reported what you were told, which is what a reporter does. Somebody in the media, if you get a scoop, you take advantage of that. Of course you're going to.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Yeah. Rich in Edmonton writes in regarding the fan vitriol. He says, the reaction has been Bush League from CFL fans. Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, writes in. He says, I think it's honestly time that the CFL start operating like other leagues. We talk about football people making football decisions. Let the business people make business decisions. Sure, Nelson, and I'm not going to defend the coaches and GMs and players other than to say this is business people making football decisions. They're changing the size of the field, and they're moving the goal. This isn't business decisions. This is business people making football decisions, and that's what's got them all upset. And my God, it's probably a good thing that Trestman isn't, because I talked to an agent last night. I was at a high school game. The agent called, and I said what Trestman had said. He goes, well, you need to get him on if he's that worked up. I'm like, I'm not going to ask somebody to come on. Mark's a smart guy. He's like, if he doesn't trust what he's going to say, I'm not going to make him come on. But he's like every other football guy that's very upset, which reminds me, I thought Nathan Rourke was going to be the first player in CFL history to be named Player of the Week and get fined. But there was no discipline come out yesterday from the CFL. Come on, you can't rip the CFL like that and not get fined. Although I guess he did.
Well,
not get fined.
And I don't know what, it was on, I think it was TSN. He did a follow-up interview, and he literally said, I felt I needed to be the voice for the Canadian fans. He says there's been lots of other players that have come to him and said, I'm glad you said what we're all thinking, but we're too afraid to say it. You have the platform. They're not going to treat you as badly as they would treat us because we're not you. You are right now, let's face it, he's one of the faces of the CFL. He can get away with saying things the linemen can't say. It's a fact. And you say it all the time. Some people can say things, others can't. There's a different playing field. It's just the way the world works.
I don't remember Wayne Gretzky ever slamming the NHL. I don't remember anybody in baseball slamming MLB and getting away with it. I don't remember Joe Namath slamming the NFL. Like we're talking about faces of leagues here. And if Nathan Rourke is the face of the CFL, which I think that he is, I think he was in the wrong. I don't care. I love the kid. I went to the God breakfast with him last year at Grey Cup, as you know. No, I didn't go with him. We were 2 of 800 people in the room. I'm just saying I love Nathan Rourke. You can't say what he said. And I've been saying it all summer with what Luke Wilson went off. I said, you're not going to get away with this either. Luke Wilson, and that's the guy you were referring to earlier. I don't care. He's been dumping on the CFL all summer. And then he flips his tune of 180. I said it wasn't going to be allowed to go on, and it wasn't. Right? You're not going to change. Yeah, you're not going to change the way things are. Is Nathan Rourke? I would say this is like a huge mulligan for Nathan Rourke. He's actually had 2 because he ripped the CFL over the Chad Kelly thing, and now this.
I have being the media guy and then being the fan, it's so hard to separate because as the fan, I look at Nathan, I'm like, yes, you go, buddy. You say, I don't care if I agree with you or not. Say what's on your mind because dang, it's about time someone does instead of just holding the line saying, yes, it's good for the league and everything's perfect and we're all going to fart rainbows and there's going to be unicorns.
Like the TSN guys have.
I didn't say that. The TSN guys are starting to feel like beat up on. They're coming out and making videos saying, hey, we're not being told to say this. Well, then why are you all saying the exact same things?
You see now why in the friendship, and you and I met in the summer 2022 and we got real close real fast, like within a day.
Yes.
I said, I don't want to be the fan because you can't, it's very hard to separate the fan and the media thing. Right? And the only reason I stay with the Cowboys was I was a Cowboys fan before I was in the media. So that's not a conflict of interest there. But like it's with me doing the Panthers show here. I've got other media in town going, oh, who are the Panthers that you hang out with? Who are the Panthers you got to know? I said, I don't know any of them, and I don't want to know any of them because that makes it too hard to do your job. Well, okay? And that's what you're saying as a fan, you know?
It is. And I mean, if you make friends with somebody and then all of a sudden you have to call them out because they had a bad game or just say they've had a bad game. Now it's like, oh God, he's going to it's going to be upset.
Yeah.
Well, that's why you have to separate.
I don't care what the players think because I say what I say and I know that I'm right. So I don't care if they're pissed off, right? Furthermore, on the expansion thing, I understand that people don't get this. I'm trying to inform them. Some will get it. Most will never get it. But this whole idea of the expansion to the States, which I do believe is on the horizon, I'm not saying it's imminent, but MLSE wants to make money with the Argos. And to be honest, the guy that gave me the scoop about the U.S. expansion the other day, I mentioned it on the air. He called me yesterday. I'm like, oh my God, did I say something wrong? He's like, no, we're good. Here's more. Oh, okay. I've reported like 1% of what I've been told. So all I'm saying is the only way for this league to get money in the coffers, or the best way, is expansion. It's what all the leagues have done, especially the NHL. That's the best way to do it. And I feel like if this does not happen, I don't think MLSE is going to be part of Now, the Argos aren't going anywhere, just so you know. But
No.
I think MLSE is going to lose interest in the Argos and the CFL real fast if there's not money being made there. It's just business, dude.
Well, and for all the fans out there, and I'm one of them that keeps saying, well, we need to expand in Canada. I've been a fan of this league for 50 plus years, probably closer to 60. We've tried to expand in Canada. We can't. There's nothing that we can do in Canada. The only way to expand is through U.S. expansion. Whether that's good or bad, whether you think that's good or bad, it doesn't matter. It's a business. And to make this league more profitable and sustainable, if that's what it takes, I have no problem with it. I just don't want to go to the 4 downs, 11 players. Get rid of the ratio. I've said that for a long time. Get rid of the ratio. I don't have a problem with that. But keep it 3 downs. Keep it the 65 yards. And I would rather have left it at 110, but I get it. We need 100 to fit the fields.
Right. But again, not everybody can agree on what's needed. And if they were going to expand in Canada, they wouldn't have needed to change the fields. So they're not expanding in Canada. And
it's simple.
There's one particular TSN guy that took umbrage with what I said. And I'm like, hey, TSN guys, I love you. We've been friends for decades, but you're not the only ones that can talk about the CFL or cover it or speculate. You're not the only ones. I know you think you are, but you're not.
And everybody's allowed to have an opinion. You say it every time. Everybody has a belly button. Everybody wants an opinion. And they're allowed to have an opinion, and we're allowed to talk about it on air.
Right, but they feel as the rights holder, they're the only ones that can talk about it with authority, and they're not. BC Eric writes in, when I said Gretzky never criticized the NHL the way Nathan Rourke has the CFL, he says Gretzky called the Devils a Mickey Mouse organization. Yeah, that's not biting the hand that feeds you. That's not even in the same stratosphere, BC Eric, but thank you for the comment. If I've read that properly. We'll continue this when we return. It's going fast. We're live here on the Game Plus Television Network. 902-518-3033 is the Western Dodge text line. We're also on YouTube Live. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Let's get it going. Podcast and 1700 Mission Radio.
Country's hottest party is coming. James Barker Band, Bud Light Buckle Up Tour 2025. Live across Canada with special guests Ryan and Rory. November 20th, Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca. James Barker Band Live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
It's Football Friday, but the unscheduled junior hockey report for our friends at the Mad Greek. From classic to loaded, pizza night starts at the Mad Greek Eatery. Order online, pick up or dine in at the madgreekeatery.com. They're big Warriors fans over there, but the Warriors aren't playing tonight. They got Swift Current in the Temple Garden Center on Saturday. What is there? 3-6 games tonight, including the Prince Albert Raiders at the Regina Pats in the home opener. So, yeah, Blades at Lethbridge, Medicine Hat at Swift Current. Go to WHL.ca for the full schedule. Back to it with Kevin the Medium here. This is strange, Kev. We're right on schedule with the way that I wanted it to go. Odd.
What?
Yeah, weird. Do. One thing I've got written here, and for those that have just tuned in on the Game Plus Television Network, what we've talked about was Thursday Night Football, Seahawks over Arizona 23-20, and some NFL items. Larry Thompson passing away, the owner of the Edmonton Elks. There's a dark cloud over that Edmonton franchise that needs to leave. Do we need to have like a seance or some ceremony? What the hell are we going to do? Because I don't like it. I like Edmonton to be good. They're a first-class organization that doesn't deserve the crap they've been through.
I think they need a saging. I think they need some spiritual cleaning, something done over there. It's like, I don't mean to make light of it, but holy, talk about, it's just been one thing after another for that franchise over the last, I'm going to say decade. It seems like every time you turn around, it's bad.
I know every other team in the division's fans hate Edmonton, but it's just because they won all the time. I think they got 14 Grey Cups, and in my time in the league, they treated me first class. I was thinking about this the other day. I had knocked down, drag-out wars with everybody, the Stampeders, the Lions, the Bombers, before you knew me. Hatred. Never had it with Edmonton. Walk into that stadium. Hi, Rod. What do you need, Rod? What can we do to help you make your job more easy, Rod? But can we fight? No.
I remember.
Never had one with Edmonton.
I remember the game you and I went to in Commonwealth and how well they treated you. It was like you were a star. We couldn't walk more than 5 steps without someone wanting to take your damn picture. But
that was their fans.
That was, yes. But I mean, all the staff from Giroid down, they were all couldn't do enough for you. It's a class act, I thought. And
yes.
I'm kind of worried what happens with the franchise now, like who takes it over, what happens. Let's just hope everything works out and there's brighter days ahead for them.
The family will get it, and they will decide, is what I'm reading and what I'm hearing. But that's when Kevin said, to sage the place and get out the evil spirits. He's being serious about that. I have an immense amount of respect for the Edmonton franchise, as does Kevin, and I don't like to see them going through this. Not at all. Western Dodge text line 902-518-3033. Before we come back to all that CFL topics, I have written down here, football weekend look ahead. I'm going to talk about Canada West in the next segment once Kevin adjourns. But my God, my sponsor Bob, my 12-test sponsor Bob, he's a huge college fan. So I'm like, okay, Bob, tell me with college, what are you watching? And he's like, Penn State, Oregon. That's the big game of the weekend. I'm okay. I mean, with my little pea brain, NFL, CFL, that's about hockey firing up. The Barkov news. Looks like Sasha Barkov's gone. I don't have Ryder Cup. Are you kidding me? Somebody wrote in here about Ryder Cup today. No, I don't have time for that. Where is your football focus this weekend?
on the CFL. Even though it's funny, I was talking to Angela before I came on the air, and I was like, I just realized I'm going to miss the BC Lions game tonight because I'm going to Bryan Adams' concert. What have I done? Priorities
Cuts
have
like
just
a
fallen
knife.
out the window, Rod.
Cuts like a knife. What do you think? Yeah, I'm jealous, man. I'm jealous. Bryan Adams is one of those. Don't get me going. I do love this first hour Canadian thing, which everybody else does. I went to the Juno Awards expecting, and when it was in Regina, I was expecting to see Shania Twain, Justin Bieber, Bryan Adams, Celine Dion, all the greats. It wasn't. It was not that there's anything wrong with this, but Katie Lang and the Sheepdogs, and I'm like, this is the American Hockey League of Canadian music. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but there's just certain iconic Canadian artists that are worldwide figures.
Yes,
and he's one
Adams
of them. Do you think they'll
being
sell
one of
the?
them.
Yeah, do you think they'll sell the Saddle Dome out for this?
You know, I think it is. I can't swear to that, but I'm pretty sure it's darn near sold out. We're making a day of it. We're going for dinner at the Dome, at the Saddle Dome, going for the buffet dinner, and it's going to be a great evening. I'm looking forward to it, even though I will miss my BC Lions beating up on Toronto.
What do you think the set list? What do you think the encore song will be?
Oh man,
I got it here. See, I know enough about music. I know enough about music that I can go look up the concert set list and see. Then I know whether I'm going to stay or not.
See, it's funny because I was going to do that. Then I went, no, I want to be surprised. So don't tell me, because I want to be surprised. I don't like going in knowing what the. I mean, obviously we know what songs he's going to sing.
Sure, I was a country music DJ, y'all. So that's how I know the tricks and trades of the music business. I do. Just so you know, Cuts Like a Knife, Summer of '69. The only thing that looks good on you is me. None of those are the encore song. Okay. So 18 Till I Die. Straight from the, none of those are. Okay. So you're good.
Good.
You'll never guess what it is, actually. You won't even guess what it is. So CFL is your focus. And that's what I said to Bob, by the way. I said, my focus is the CFL. I'm just really into it because I love the league. I really do. I'm into it. Still got enough friends in the league. Like, we made our picks yesterday for Pump Jacks. We don't need to go down that road again. But tonight, BC, Toronto, you pick BC, but you always do. How are you feeling about it?
You know what? I feel good about this one. BC's getting it all together just at the right time, I believe. Their defense is stepping up. Their defensive line have really been shored up. Their secondary is playing amazingly in the last game. Amazingly, is that a word? And so I think this last stretch of games is we don't need to win out, don't get me wrong, but we need to win way more than we lose. So I think we got to go at least 80% to make it into the playoffs where we want to. We don't want to do the crossover. I don't think a crossover will ever make it into the Grey Cup. It's never happened, and I don't think it ever will. I say that it's going to happen. I was talking to Angela. She's a big Rider fan, and I said, wouldn't it be something if Winnipeg crossed over and they won their way into the Grey Cup against the Riders? Riders, Winnipeg Grey Cup in Winnipeg? Whew, insane.
That's what Troy Westwood was on here the other day. He said his wish is Winnipeg finishing fourth, crossing over, and going to the Grey Cup. That's from Westwood. I'm not sure the world could handle that.
I don't think they have enough security.
Wayne in BC says, you probably don't have to worry, Kevin. I think the Lions will handle the Argos tonight, although it is the CFL. I mean, I think I got BC picked to win too. I don't think Edmonton beats the Riders tomorrow. Nobody will be shocked to know I'm cheering for Edmonton, and mine Cody. He could be playing for the Rhine Fire. I'd be cheering for them. It's not about anti-Riders, but I don't think they're going to beat the Riders. The Riders are too good.
Yes, I agree. I, of course, picked the Riders, which I might add, it's really funny, and people who know me know that I'm not a Rider fan, but I've literally, we do the Old Man Predicts on our show, and I pick the Riders every single week. I have, and it baffles my brain that I've had to pick the Riders every single week. But
well, you've
they're
been
on
right
fire.
10 out of 13 times. You've been right out of 10 out of 13 times. We got a minute and 15 seconds. Tell the folks about the Hughes Sports Podcast, especially for the CFL fans. They'd love it, and the Canucks fans too.
Man, I just got I got goosebumps. I just got a message from a very big Calgary Stampeder that I'm not going to say his name. We'll advertise it if he agrees to come on. But this Tuesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, it could be a big CFL guest again on our show. We love having our guest on the show, especially right now with all the changes that are happening. This guy will, I'm sure, speak his mind. It'll be a good one.
You've had some great guests on there. So bravo to you and Jake for doing that. That's the Hughes Sports Podcast, everybody. And they do it on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. So look it up, Hughes Sports Podcast. Told you, Kev, this goes so fast. Great job, man. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy Bryan Adams tonight.
Thank you, sir. And we will talk to you, I'm sure, this weekend.
Sports update and viewer takeover coming up after this segment here on Game Plus Television.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back in, everybody. Get cozy. Hour one of the RP Show continues on this Football Friday. Coming up next hour, Jim Barker, 5-time Grey Cup champion from the CFL on TSN. We have yet to discuss the CFL changes to the rules and the field with JB. That's coming up in hour two. And Joe, 747, Gunnis will be joining us to discuss NFL picks. Brought to you by CoolBet, which, by the way, hour one of the RP Show is brought to you in part by CoolBet. Claim your welcome bet bonus up to $200 with a promo code RP200 at coolbet.com. Canadian viewers only. Sorry, Americans. Elbows up, as they say. Before I delve into the sports update, because there are a lot of other sports going on. We haven't even got to the Blue Jays yet. I'm going to tell you right now, when they rip it up in the playoffs, you're not even going to remember this week's swoon and all the energy that was expended to that. But I digress. From the Western Dodge text line, experience the Western Dodge difference. Local, reliable, and driven to find the perfect vehicle for you. 902-518-3033. With the CFL rule changes, for those that just tuned in, let me read these, and then I'll go back to what Kevin and I covered when you all weren't here yet today. Darcy's watching in Grand Prairie, Alberta. He wrote, "You're the best, RP. Don't ever change." This is when I was biting people's asses yesterday. People that were criticizing our interview with the commissioner. Today, he writes, at the end of the day, more people are talking about the CFL today. I personally love the changes. I can't wait to see what the field will look like after the changes. Talked about this earlier. Stuart Johnston seemed very uncomfortable in the interview yesterday. Kevin, the medium, thought it was because he thought I was going to rope-a-dope him on this, which I've never met Stuart Johnston, so he didn't know me really well. He must at least respect me enough that he would come on my show, but I was never going to beat him up in the interview. And I don't do that. And in today's day and age in the media, nobody does that. Not anybody that wants to last in today's sports world and sports media environment. But anyways, he also seemed genuinely flabbergasted at the reaction of CFL fans. And frankly, so am I. We don't know what zany things have been said to him, possibly threats. I get them all the time, or I did. I don't anymore. It's one thing that I don't miss. But I see these people planning boycotts and not going to games, and that never, ever works. But I will say this. I'll walk it back. I told you yesterday that Mark Tressman and I talked on the phone. I'm trying to get Tress on the air next week when we go to Las Vegas television. That will be the double whammy. You'll get the benefit of it for those of you watching on Game Plus TV, but the guy that was the offensive coordinator for the Oakland Raiders for 3 years, now the Vegas Raiders, would come on and tell those stories. But Mark's like, Rod, I can't. If you know Mark at all, he's like, I can't, Rod. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to betray his trust. Let's just say he's not a fan of the changes. He's just kind of not, he doesn't trust himself with what he would say. And he's a football guy to the core. So I'm kind of sitting there going, well, do I love anything as much as these guys seem to love the CFL current rules? Because I get upset every time I turn on the television and see what's happened to this business or radio. I do, but I let it go. The people in charge are going to do what they're going to do. So you don't see me ranting and raving or talking about it. It is what it is. That's not to say that I'm right, though, and I respect Mark and the people's opinions that are upset. I think some people have gone too far, but again, that's the beautiful thing about opinions. I was talking about the U.S. expansion idea, which I still think is where this is going. Glenn writes in, Glenn with 2 N's from the Queen City on the Western Dodge text line, and he says, okay, I never got why the league wants to change the size of the field. Of course, expansion to the U.S. because it is never going to happen in Canada. Thanks, Rod. My hamster brain could not see that. No, and I wasn't going to ask Stuart Johnston about that either. I'm not saying they're imminently going to do it, but I do believe that it's being investigated, and that's what MLSE would like to see because that's what's going to infuse money into the coffers. I'm not that bright either. Okay, I listen to smarter people. And John Shannon was on here a couple of years ago when the NHL was coming off that record revenue-setting season. 2 years ago. If you notice, last year was not a record for revenue. But I said, John, why did they make all this money? He goes, expansion, Rod. Duh. Oh, okay. And a few other reasons. But that's the fastest way to make a lot of money is bring in teams. And a guy earlier this week wrote in, John Hanley, I used to work with him in PA, 900 CKBI, all-time favorites, 900 CKBI, Prince Albert. And he goes, why did it fail in the 90s? Because of field size and ratio. You fix that? Ted in Edmonton writes in and says, people need to stop complaining about the CFL rule changes. It's a business. Every business makes changes. You may not like them, but you eventually get used to them. Baseball and hockey make changes. What's the diff? No, I don't get it. Look, I am in football mad Florida where they change rules quite often. Have you watched an NFL kickoff lately? And they at least debated the tush push and all kinds of the drop down tackle, whatever the hell that is. They've banned it. Like, I didn't hear a whimper about these things. Jim Young, Dirty 30, writes in and he says, go Lions. BC Lions, great. Minnesota Vikings alum, Jim Young. Thanks for tuning in. Dirty 30. Everybody's writing in here on Bryan Adams, which is cool. And I said to Kevin, the medium, we talked on the phone this morning, I said, the very first concert in Mosaic Stadium, new Mosaic Stadium in Regina, was Bryan Adams. I was there. Loved it. Quick, who's the last concert in Mosaic Stadium? Producer Corey, would you have an answer on that? What was the last concert at Mosaic Stadium? The first was Bryan Adams. It was a test event, as they said back in the day. I know. It's a trick question. You won't know. I want to say it was the Eagles in 2018. In a torrential downpour with Vince Gill, the lead singer for the Eagles. Don't ask. Beep, 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 beep. There's a lot of great stuff cooking in the YouTube chat here. Rich in Edmonton writes in, he says, I would love to see Bryan Adams at Rogers Place tomorrow, but my 50th birthday golf game and post-game dinner with the old high school buddies. Hey, Rich, you can't be everywhere. And he also says, I spent all my money for The Who show in Vancouver on Tuesday. Sometimes I feel like a real outsider. Actually, a lot. But I was out for supper with a couple of buddies the other night here in Florida, and they were talking about Metallica and this guy, somebody Prudhomme, or was it Black Sabbath? I don't know. I couldn't tell you one song Black Sabbath sings. I couldn't tell you one song The Who sing. I could tell you anything that George Strait, Clint Black, Garth Brooks et al. Sang, Mark Chestnut. That's about it. It's a very narrow cassette case. 902-518-3033. Okay, I'm about done on this, but Wayne in BC writes in, he says, I see your point, Rod, but if they expand again into the U.S., then won't they have to get rid of the Canadian ratio? Yep. Sports update. Toronto's magic number to clinch the American League East Division title is down to 3. The Blue Jays topped Boston 6-1 Thursday, now remain tied with New York for first place. Toronto holds the tiebreaker. Detroit and Cleveland are tied for the American League Central Division lead after the Tigers' 4-2 win over the Guardians. The victory ended the Tigers' 8-game losing streak. Both teams are 1 game up on Houston for the final wildcard spot. The LA Dodgers are National League West Division champions for the 12th time in 13 years. The Dodgers blanked Arizona 8-0. The Mets beat the Cubs 8-5. New York holds the last NL wildcard spot. Cincinnati is 1 game back. The Reds edged Pittsburgh 2-1. It's very dreadful news out of South Florida today. Alexander Barkov is undergoing surgery as we speak. The fear is that his season is over. The Panthers will be updating the media later today. Brent from Wellington, Florida, watches this show. He's been texting me. He's like, there goes the three-peat. And I'll tell you what, there's not many guys on that team or any team that you would say losing for the season would derail any chance of a championship. Alexander Barkov is one. The Montreal Canadiens are dealing with some injury woes on the blue line. Noah Dobson is day-to-day with a groin issue after leaving early in the Habs 7-2 preseason loss to Toronto. Caden Gooley and David Reinbacher are also dealing with injuries. The sports update is brought to you by Golden Ticket Sports Center. Dress like a fan, like me, not a spectator. Ultimate Fan Zone Moose Jaw has everything you need: jerseys, hats, hoodies, and more. Start shopping now at ultimatefanzone.ca. For the Canadian football fans, Canada West games this weekend. UBC at Alberta, that's tonight. Sask at Calgary Saturday. Manitoba at Regina Saturday. Well, actually, we'll be discussing that more next hour in the sports update. Coming up, we got Jim Barker. A little more NFL talk. I'll re-up everything that we've discussed here in hour one. That's what we do when we re-up the Quick Six show topics. But it's a Football Friday. We're trying to keep it to football. You know, it's funny, there's a lot of NHL preseason games. Well, 6 preseason games tonight, and I'm like, everybody thinks of Canada as a hockey country. No, it's not. It's an NHL country. They're not packing the junior barns like America's a football country, where I was at a high school game last night. Stands were jammed. I'll talk a little college football next hour as well. Although my teams aren't playing. Alabama's not my team anymore. They're going to go get rolled in Georgia. No, my teams are Miami because I live here. They're off. Texas Longhorns because of Steve Sarkisian and Kerry Joseph. They're off. And FSU's playing tonight at Virginia, so I'll probably watch that. But people are going to write in here and ask my thoughts on the Ryder Cup. The what? Hour 2 is coming up next here on the Game Plus Television Network, YouTube Live podcast, and 1700 AM Mission Radio.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
It's the Rod Pedersen Show. Haven't you heard? Start spreading the news. We're live here on the Game Plus Television Network. YouTube Live, if you're watching there on streaming, would you please give us a like, maybe a share, and comment if you love what we do here every day. Apparently that helps us a lot. That's what the kids tell me. Podcast form if you're listening later, and also 1700 AM Mission Radio. Here's the roadmap of today's Hour 2. Jim Barker will be joining us in the next segment. 5-time Grey Cup champion from the CFL on TSN. Yes, we'll be talking about all levels of football with JB. And then later on, Joe 747 Gunnis will be joining us to talk about our NFL Week 4 picks for Cool Bet Canada. These are the Quick Six show topics for this Football Friday. Week 4 of the NFL season came in with a bang. Jason Myers made a 52-yard field goal as time expired to give Seattle a 23-20 win over Arizona. It was the Seahawks' 8th straight win over the Cardinals. Seattle's now 3-1, while the Cards fall to 2-2 after a 2-0 start. And Cards were being booed off the field at halftime. We had some fun with this last hour with Kevin the Medium. He's not the biggest NFL guy, but we have thoughts on booing your team. I get it. I spent a lot of time in Phoenix. My buddy owned the Coyotes for like 5 years. I was down there all the time. Thought that's where I was going to end up. Went to a lot of games in that wonderful stadium. And they've never won a Super Bowl, man. They're tired of losing in Arizona. And then, of course, the Cardinals come back because I think it was like 17-3 at halftime. And Seattle's got to win it on the last play, as I mentioned. And there's just something about the NFL that is getting more exciting. And they tweaked the rules a little bit, which that's foreshadowing. Hang on. Point 2 of the Quick Six. From the Canadian Football League, Edmonton Elks owner Larry Thompson has died at age 65. The CFL team says he died from complications following an unspecified surgery. The story of Larry is unbelievable. He was a longtime season ticket holder before becoming team owner in August of 2024. So just past a year after Larry takes over the team, and he's, for those that don't know the story, heavy construction magnate of Edmonton. He just seemed like a hard hat wearing, steel toe boot working, self-made guy that loved his team and wanted to rescue it from obscurity, and it looked like it was on the way to happening. And then this, and I mentioned 20 years calling games in the Canadian Football League as the voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and I had feuds, like really fun ones, with Winnipeg, Calgary, and BC. At least I thought they were fun. But never with Edmonton because they were too above it. All the time. We walk into that stadium. What do you need, Rod? What can we do for you, Rod? Welcome back, Rod. I'm like, can we fight? Can we? They just ignore it. The green and gold. It's the Eskimo way. And that's so far gone. I'm sick about it. And I don't even live there. And I've never spent a day cheering for them. It's just, I make it end. 2.3 of the Quick Six, because it is a Football Friday. Morph in a few things here. We had the commissioner of the Canadian Football League on the program yesterday, and we did a breakdown of that interview. And Stuart Johnston was uncomfortable in the interview. Kevin the Medium thought it was because he thought I was going to nail him to the wall, and I was never going to do that. I don't do that. I've never done that. I've never been that guy. And I'm also the guy that's been purporting some modernization of the CFL game. You all know, because you've been watching this show for years, that I want U.S. expansion. I'm expanded to the U.S., and I love the CFL. It'd be a great thing. However, and the other thing with Stuart Johnston, I don't think there's any doubt. He admitted that he's shocked at the furor and rage over these changes. And I'll be honest, it is over the top. However, my phone rang yesterday from Mark Trestman. And why was I getting a hold of Mark Trestman? I was trying to line him up to come on the show next week as we debut in Las Vegas television on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. And I said to Tress, I'm like, Mark, I was thinking about who's got Raiders ties, Vegas Raiders ties. And I'm like, you were their OC for 3 years. He's like, yeah, Rod. But I can't talk. He wasn't laughing. He's like, I can't talk about it right now. I can't talk about football because of his feelings for the changes. And that's all that I will say. I'm telling you what, just in the phone conversation, I could have made memes that would have blown up the world with what Mark was saying about it. But out of respect for him and our friendship, all I'm going to say is he's not happy with the changes. He's a football guy, dyed in the wool, and specifically loves the Canadian game. I mean, Mark is a brainiac. He's got 17 degrees. He said to me on the phone yesterday, he goes, it took him 5 years to learn the CFL game after coming up at the age of 52, after many years in the NFL, like 16 years in the NFL as a coordinator in various positions, plus NCAA. And I'm like, come on, Mark. You're in the Grey Cup in your first year with Montreal. You lost to Calgary, but then you won the next two. It didn't take you 5 years, but it's Mark's story to tell. And he will eventually once he gets over these changes. And if you want to know, I looked up Mark's Wikipedia, Mark Trestman, former head coach of the Chicago Bears. And it said on there, you can go look it up yourself. I'm sure it still does today. It says that he's with the LA Chargers as a senior offensive assistant. So when Mark called, I said, hey, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were with the Chargers. He's like, I'm not, because I retired in the spring. And without giving you, he won't care that. He's living in Naples, South Florida. He wouldn't use the R word, retired, because none of these sports people ever do, because the phone might ring. Somebody might offer an opportunity, but he sure as hell doesn't need the money. And he just said, it's good. It's good. I like Naples. I said, bro, I get it. I'm in Boca. Been here for 5 years, man. I get it. As they say in Florida, dude, say less. I'm with you. So that got me thinking, listen, I'm not attached to CFL rules, but the football guys are. And maybe Jim Barker is going to go off in the next segment. I have no idea what Jim's thoughts are on that. I haven't talked to him all week since Sunday. So that's that. Point 4. Football weekend look ahead. Of all of what we've been talking about here, some very big CFL games. I talked to my 12-step sponsor, Bob, talked to him every day. And I said, Bob, what's your football focus this weekend? He's like, oh, college football, Rod. Biggest game is Penn State, Oregon. Although his OSU are playing too. That's a big one. And I'm like, well, it's a good weekend for me to step back because Miami Hurricanes not playing. They got to bye. Texas Longhorns not playing. They got to bye. And FSU plays tonight. But I said my focus is Canadian Football League. Whether I'm able to watch the games or not, I don't know, but I'm certainly going to be following them very closely. And then I'm going to Florida Atlantic University hockey tonight. They're playing the Miami Hurricanes. How about that? In a hockey game in South Florida. And the rink is going to be jammed. Story for another time. And then Saturday night, I got a new buddy that I met at the gym. He's like, hey, just the week. He's like, we got 20 tickets to FAU Memphis. Saturday night, college football. American Conference. I'm like, let me check my calendar. I'm available. So that's the deal on that. Did I mention the breaking news today that has us disturbed here in Florida? By the way, hockey note, Alexander Barkov undergoing surgery as we speak for an injury suffered yesterday. In training camp, they fear that his season is over. So that's the breaking news out of the sports world around here today. And then I mentioned the Canada West. I'll talk about that a little more later. There's just so much going on. Point 5, the Blue Jays and Yankees remain tied for first place in the American League East. Dalton Varsho hit a grand slam in Toronto's 6-1 win over Boston Thursday night. The Yankees beat the White Sox 5-3. Toronto holds the tiebreaker over New York. The Blue Jays' magic number to clinch the East title is 3. The first baseball postseason matchup is locked in. The San Diego Padres will take on the Chicago Cubs in one of 2 NL wildcard series next week. The Mets remain a game ahead of Cincinnati in the race for the final wildcard spot. The Mets beat the Cubs 8-5. The Reds edged Pittsburgh 2-1. The reigning World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers are National League West Division champions once again. They dumped Arizona 8-0 Thursday to claim the division crowd for the 4th year in a row. Seattle will get a bye into the American League Division Series. The Mariners beat Colorado 6-2 and will be seeded first or second in the AL. The one thing, because I am following the Blue Jays, the Blue Jays will always be our team on this show, no matter where I'm living or where the show airs. That's not changing. And I get the importance of claiming the pennant for every reason. Putting a banner up in Rogers Center, having a first-round bye. But if they don't win the pennant, they're still a great team. It will have happened for a reason. And this swoon that's gone on this week, you won't even remember it if they tear it up in the playoffs, and that's what I think it's going to lead to. Jim Barker could speak to this because the concepts of sport are the same. Doesn't matter the playing surface, the grass, the ice, the court. You learn from things like what happened this week for the Blue Jays, or at least you should. And we cheered for them all year. You going to turn on them now? Some will, but I won't. 902-518-3033. Because it's the most earth-shattering news item in the CFL in quite some time, I'll devote more time to it. You know, when we go to Las Vegas television next week, Nevada, all across Nevada, you're barely going to notice a difference, by the way. There will just be more Canadian sports topics in hour one, but they like the show. It's unique. There's nobody else talking about what we talk about in America. There's nobody talking about the NHL, just so you know. And even fewer talking about the CFL. So the fact that we're the only ones is actually a good thing. They're not anti that. But we would be idiots not to talk NFL, college football, MLB, and everything that is big here. Having said all of that, Ron in Coquitlam, BC writes in on the Western Dodge text line, and he says, "Hi, Rod. New rules are not horrible, but I hate the rollout rule. It's too NFL and will lead to his standing there watching the ball roll out rather than trying to play it. Horrible look." Signed, Ron in Coquitlam. Well, again, like belly buttons, everybody has an opinion on the rules of your favorite league. It doesn't look any different watching an NFL game when they're sitting there watching a punt roll down the middle of the field and the cover team's trying to wait till it stops rolling to touch. Like, who really cares? You know, he's talking about landing out of bounds versus inbounds and rolling out to get the single point. I think it's a little bit of semantics there. What do we got here? Beep, 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 beep. Just dipping into the YouTube chat. And it's 1:11 Eastern. Just pointing that out. 1:11 for those that observe. Arlen Bruce III writes in. He says, "Great morning, RP. Let's give a special birthday shout out to my son, Arlen Bruce IV, 23 years young. He's still waiting on the commissioner to approve him to play in Canada. I'll be at the BC Lions game." That's from two-time Grey Cup champion and former Kansas City Chief Arlen Bruce III. AB, has he had his hearing with Commissioner Stuart Johnston? I'm assuming that he has. And then again, all this got dumped in Stuart Johnston's lap this week at their own doing. And it's kind of interesting because what Stuart Johnston said in the interview was exactly what I'd been told Sunday night. That guy that tipped me off that said these rule changes in the CFL have been brewing just over the past couple of months. That's exactly what Stuart Johnston said. This doesn't go back into last year or years. It sounds like a fairly new thing. And but it's here. And Stuart Johnston, I'm shocked that anybody would be surprised at the fan backlash across Canada and CFL fans around the world. Wild. It didn't surprise me one bit. And that's why I bit those Rider fans in the ass yesterday that came here to troll me because I'm not putting up with it. I guess Stuart Johnston has to put up with it. I don't know. I'm not. When I was voice of the Rough Riders for 20 years, I dealt with death threats to my family, vandalism of my home, my vehicle from Rider fans. So to see somebody unhinged about rule changes, that doesn't surprise me one bit. And that's why, here on what we do, I don't know what it is, But 1,585 shows, and you can sit and ask Moose, who for years owned this show. He doesn't anymore, but we haven't had one complaint. Not one complaint has come in about anything that I've said. Why they felt that they could use me as a piñata, because I dared to predict the Riders would be battling for a playoff spot. It was in a column. So the Riders will battle Calgary for the final playoff spot in the West, and I get a death threat. And then incidentally, I was right. And they missed the playoffs. That was 2001. So, no, none of that surprises me. But this was not, what should I say, limited to Saskatchewan football fans this week. I'm seeing them planning boycotts in Hamilton. And what the hell are you guys going to do? Handcuff yourself to the goalpost at the end of the day? Like, what really are you going to do? And you think you're going to win? Producer Corey says he'd pay for that. Pay for what? Watching somebody handcuff themselves? Hey, my personal attorney, when I was in Arizona, went to the Trump. He was speaking in Fountain Hills, Arizona, and these guys handcuffed. They went up and handcuffed themselves to the door handle of Trump's car. Well, he was. What do you? I don't understand how people think like that. So I'll never understand. Yeah, because they're not thinking exactly. They're imbalanced. BC Eric writes in, he says, the Trestman Alouettes era was great. Oh, it was unbelievable. His Argo era was great too, which people forget about. And that's it. I don't know why Trestman likes me. I don't know why anybody would like me, frankly. But, I said yesterday that one of the Alouette staffers said there was only two guys in the media that Mark liked. You, Rod, and Dwayne Ford. That's it. I don't know. Neither one of us professes to be any smarter than anybody else. Maybe that's what it is. I'm not sure. But Mark was a veritable fountain of info yesterday, but he doesn't want to go on the air yet. He's not ready. I'm like, well, you know where to find me, Mark. Wants to hook me up with Brandon Marshall on that mental health space. Yeah, she's a great guy. We'll be back with JB, speaking of great guys, right after this.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Come in. Enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Hour 2 of the RP Show is brought to you in part by Outlaw Communications, where creativity isn't a hobby, it's a way of life. From strategic communications to leadership training and conversational content, we help your message connect and inspire. Okay, Jim Barker, I think I speak for the entire world. We all want to know your thoughts on the CFL rule and field changes.
Well, I'll tell you, I went to the press conference and I was as nervous as can be. But I walked out of there and I was excited because I can say we're still part of the greatest three-down football in the world. We are not a minor league. The essence of the game has not changed. Did we lose a key part of the game? Absolutely. Moving the goalpost back, okay, completely takes away the field goal returns. Now, just this year, there's been 3 field goal returns for touchdowns and 13 plays of 30 yards or more. So that's a big play that we had that they don't have south of the border. Now, with that being said, again, that one hurt a bit. And I agree with the caller that you referred to that talked about. I think that they should have to, if the ball bounces in the end zone, they should have to field it. Because if you haven't played one of those kick-out games like I played against Mark Tressman, we went at it in his first year, I think. He kicked it in, we kicked it out, he kicked it in. You're never going to have that again with the rule the way it is, I don't think. Where if the rule was you get a single point if the ball is fielded, then or if it has to be fielded. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. There's so much to talk about. I don't want to dwell on that. But this is all, I think where you and Kevin missed a little bit in the first hour was you talked about business people making the decision. And I think if you look at the CFL, now some people are saying 2 of the teams made money. The Saskatchewan and Winnipeg made money. What I've heard is 1. But either way, if 2 out of 9 teams are the only ones making money, a business decision needed to be made. Stuart Johnson was hired to increase the franchise values of these clubs, period. That is the number one thing. You look at franchise values around the world in professional sports, the WNBA, even the Professional Women's Hockey League, and franchise values are up. The MLS values are $400 million. The values of CFL franchises have not gone up, and that's the goal. How does that happen? You can add a team in Canada, but when you're playing only in Canada, people around the world don't care. And I tried to talk to Randy Ambrosie about this when his whole global initiative. And it's not getting a player out of there. It's playing your game there. And if it's Europe and they're going to go play a game in Europe, so to get people excited about, maybe it's that. I studied the size of stadiums there. They're built for soccer, and width-wise is no problem. It's lengthwise. So, and I think the same thing in the U.S. You have a problem with the length when it's, the way it currently is, which is 150 yards. You need 150 yards. Well, most of them are around between 120 and 130. So now 130 yards, you can get a CFL field in because they've taken out center field. I think when they took center field out to drop that to 100, that's when they had to move the goalposts. Because if you don't move the goalposts without a center field, and again, rules that I didn't really like when they happened, it turned out to be fantastic, was they were placing the ball in the 40. Remember, after a field goal, you could get it on the 40, and then they moved the hash marks in. And I just thought it was going to look like arena football and be, 90 to 85 games. And, that has improved the game. And so this is I believe, to improve the ability to, the only way you're going to raise franchise value is expansion. U.S., Europe, wherever you're going to expand, I think it opens up a lot of doors to do that. So with that being said, I have a problem. We're losing field goal return. I think the 35-second clock, people don't understand. The NFL has 40 seconds. So we play on a 65-yard wide field, okay? They have 40 seconds, and they scramble to get it. Our receivers are on a 65-yard wide field. They run a go route. The way this works is as soon as that play is done, the clock starts. So they have 35 seconds now to get back, get the play, get on the line of scrimmage, and go. Well, they better be in shape because there's no more sauntering back to the huddle. They're going to be hustling back. Probably turns in about another more wind sprints or more running hard, which again taxes their muscles. Does that mean more hamstring injuries? Again, it sounds crazy, but those are the kind of things I think teams that go no huddle, you take a Hamilton Tiger Cat team, it's not going to affect them. They run no huddle. I think we saw in a game in the NFL this last weekend where, again, the 40-second clock had started and the offense made a substitution. Well, the referees then held the ball until the defense made it. That holding of the snap caused them to have a delay of game. That's a huge factor. And I think the last 3 minutes, how they do that, I think is crucial because I think if you ask Mark Trestman, the greatest thing about the Canadian game that he loves, the last 3 minutes, because it's a different world.
He loved every single thing. He loved every single thing about it. That's why he's upset to the point that he can't talk about it yet. I don't want to out the guy. I can't wait until he does do the interview, But here's one, though, about the football people not being consulted on this. What do you know about it?
They're not football people, but, they're the same people who do the fines and things like that are the ones that researched it. So go ahead.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean. No, you know what I mean. The current coaches and players not being consulted. What do you know about who was consulted on this? Okay, and it's interesting. I was at Ted Govaya's funeral services, and it was loaded with CFL people. And of course, besides discussing Ted and talking about Ted in the mingling, it was about the new rules. And it's interesting talking to people who have been in the league a long time. We talked about these things for the last 15 years. So it's not like this stuff has not been talked about. It's been talked about in rules committee from way back, going to a 35 or 40-second clock from when a play ends and, moving the goalpost back. That was something that, Wally talked about years ago. I think that these things have been talked about. If you go and get opinions, what you're going to do is have one group say, they didn't listen to me. If they say, no, we shouldn't do that. There comes a point when somebody has to make a decision. And that's what Stuart Johnston did. And I give him kudos for that. I think that standing up and making a decision and I think he was surprised by the backlash. And that's, again, I didn't like that Nathan Rourke went personally after the commissioner in terms of the things he said about, that he doesn't know that. Or what. I think that's wrong. But for him to have an opinion about the rule changes, I don't think that's wrong. I really don't. I think that people in the league
need to support the league. I do believe that because we have enough naysayers in the CFL. We need to have the people that are there, like I do. I try to be a huge supporter of the greatest three-down football in the world, and we have to have that mentality.
I agree. I want to interject for a second. Arlen Bruce III's watching. He writes in, and I asked him what the status of his son was because he was to meet with the commissioner in August, and he says he is on the banned list, whatever that is, according to the commissioner. Is there any advice I can give my son, Rod, or Coach Barker? I would say stay in shape, be a good citizen, and be patient. That would be my advice. But what would be yours?
I would keep letters going to the Players Association and make sure the Players Association is involved, and keep reminding them. Other stuff comes up and you forget about it. But I would have if I was Arlen, his son, I would be sending in maybe every 2 weeks. Just send a message every 2 weeks, just to keep it on their mind. Because I'm telling you, when you there's so many things that happen in the league office and with the CFL Players Association, they forget about stuff. But if they keep getting this, it's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, and maybe it's just not time yet. I mean, like I say, Sean Lemon served his thing. I believe that they should let Arland Jr. or what I don't know if it's an Arland Jr. I don't know if they, I think they should be letting them in. That's my personal opinion.
Well, I believe it's in league bylaws that you can't suspend a player for an infraction in another league. It used to be that way. Right? I don't think you can do that.
We have a coach in our league that had some problems with gambling in college. I mean, those kind of things happen. You get in a dorm, and back when you and I were, well, probably me, not you. I'm older than you, but we had football cards. That was the big thing. We'd make up football cards and pass them out, and people would pay for a football card, and and that was illegal. And he got caught up in a football card deal and actually got suspended for a while. But again, how long do you pay for something you did in college? And I think it's crazy that he's on the ban list right now. And I hope that he gets out. And if there's anything I can do to help Arland, have him drop me a line.
He was suspended by the NCAA for life for betting while at Iowa. But This is a new league. It's a new time. He already played in the Arena League, the Indoor Football League. He was an all-star there. He's the kind of player the CFL should want, man. He would light it up, right?
Yep.
JJ writes in. He says, thanks for having a guest bringing a different perspective to the subject. Well, Jim comes on every week. Jim's a football guy. We all have different perspectives, and I don't think the CFL is changing their mind on this. I don't recall them ever changing their mind on anything, to be honest with you. We do talk about other leagues. And before I switch to the NFL, do you have anything else CFL related? Maybe about the games this week? Yeah, whatever. Go ahead.
One more thing about the rules is that the commissioner said, and I disagree with him, and I think fans should think about this. He said there's going to be more touchdowns. And one more thing about Nathan Rourke. I heard that right before he got interviewed by Farhan for that interview, he was talking to Sean White. Now, when you go and move the goalpost back 15 yards, that's going to affect guys like Sean White, Lewis Ward, Mark Lake, some of the better kickers in this league, because they're there because of accuracy, not distance. Because when you get the ball to the 30-yard line going in, you're talking about a 52-yard field goal from the 30-yard line. So what are teams going to do? They're going to go for it more. They're not going to punt it down. They're going to go for it. And that's their theory behind there'll be more touchdowns. I believe what's going to happen is they're going to go for it and not make it. And now drives are going to be starting inside the 20 more often, a long field. They're going to be playing on longer fields. The CFL made it much easier for offense. When you start on the 40-yard line, you're basically, you're 15 yards away with center field from being in their territory. So that's conducive to scoring. And I just don't think it's going to, just because teams are going for it. I think now there's longer fields you're going to have heading there less often than kicking the field goals. And scoring, obviously, I'm not sure that's going to go up, because when you lose field goals between the 30 and the 50 that you try, and the amount of points there that you basically now take a lot of that, of 35, say, to the 50, you take those points out, are they going to be made up in majors? That's the big question is, and I'm just not so positive that the scoring and touchdowns are going to be higher. So that's my last thought on rules.
No, it's fine.
Done with
And
that.
I'm glad we have a lot of time on it, because we could go on for hours, but I don't want to, and it's my show. For instance, the viewers are all up in arms about the university stadiums, which is a really great point. Look, there are teams that play in CFL stadiums, but there are teams that don't, like UBC and ones across Quebec and Ontario. What the hell are they going to do? Is it Canadian rules or is it not? But I don't care. Okay? I don't have a dog in the hunt.
See, I
don't need
do,
to answer.
because I think when you're a 10-year-old kid and you're playing with center field, and then you're not seeing center field we want kids to grow up in Canada and understand the Canadian game. And I've heard it's going to take $25 million to redo all U Sports fields to make them. Obviously, McGill, where Montreal plays, and Calgary, where the Stampeders play, there's college teams. That'll be done, I'm sure, by the CFL team. But these, all these other universities, are they going to come in line with that? And if they don't, those schools that have the field changed, how do they make it so it's right? There's some issues, but there's 2 years to go till they get there.
Yeah. It seems like a major kerfluffle, but what I'm saying is it's not my problem. I don't need to answer those questions. The CFL does.
No, but it's Canada's problem, Rod. And
Huge
Canada's
problem.
Canada's problem is your problem, whether you're in Florida or not, because you love Canada. I'm sorry, it is. It's Canada's problem.
I know, but I'm not spending the brain power on how to fix it, is what I'm saying. It's awful. And I don't like that I don't think they thought about these things. It really seems to me like they didn't think about these things. So they need to answer for that.
I agree. They thought about one thing, which is what their job is: make more money for the league. And
that's it.
That's the way. The only way you can do it is through getting more eyeballs with the cost of streaming. Listen to this: Australian League Football just sold their international rights for $1 billion. Okay, because people they love watching Australian football, but they really don't care about it because it's not in there. But they got $1 billion to, for international rights. So don't think that TV and streaming, and this is a TV year coming up, doesn't have something to do with it. The streaming rights in the U.S., if there are teams there, is going to be much higher than not.
Again, they don't, the CFL owners don't care about the universities and junior fields. They don't. They care about themselves, period.
No, they don't.
So that's the whole. Hey, we got a minute. What's the biggest weekend? What's the biggest NFL game of the weekend? We got a minute to answer it.
My biggest one is Baltimore and Kansas City. You got two teams that are picked to be potential Super Bowl teams, and both of them 1-2. I think that's a big problem. In the CFL, huge game tonight, Montreal and Calgary. I think that's going to be one of those teams that's going to be called out. Calgary is struggling like crazy. I've talked about it on this show. They lose Floa Rimolade. Their defense becomes very, very pedestrian. And they need to pick that up. Got Davis Alexander coming back for Montreal. So I think that's a great game. Toronto going to BC is a tough call. I don't think it's – I think BC's – I think that's a tough call for Toronto doing that for the trip and all that. I think that's going to be a tough ball game for them. And that could really put them in behind the eight ball. This is a deciding week where you're going to have separation because you got a ton of teams with 7 and 8 wins, and then you got a couple with 5. If those with 5, Edmonton, Toronto, they don't win, Winnipeg's got 7.
Gotcha. Great job, Jim. Thank you. And with that, we're out of time for the segment. But I feel like we'll have some comments to get to when we come back in a sports update right after this. Thanks, Jim.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back, everybody, for legendary ribs, delicious pizza, and late-night bites. It's the Mad Greek Eatery, open until 11 p.m. Order online, pick up, or dine in at themadgreekeatery.com. Okay, we don't have a lot of time. Hey, Joe, you ready to rock with some NFL picks for the weekend, buddy?
Let's do it.
Okay, here we go. But it's deal or no deal, everybody. I'm going to give the betting lines, and Joe and I are going to decide. I hope we get through them because it's a quick segment. Over in Ireland, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Sunday, the Minnesota Vikings take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Vikes are favored by 2.5 points. Are you taking the bet or not?
Not taking it.
Okay. If we have time and later on, I'll ask why. I am taking it. I think Carson Wentz can beat them as the number 2 guy. It's a no from Joe, a yes from Rod. New Orleans at Buffalo. The Bills are favored by 15.5 points. A whopping line. Joe, are you taking that bet or not?
Oh, it's a deal for sure.
You're taking it? I've been told to stay away from wide spreads. I think they're talking about betting. We're taking that. Tennessee, I will not take it. Tennessee at Houston. The Texans favored by 7.5. You taking that bet or not?
I'm going to say no deal.
I am taking it. The game should be sponsored by Tums. Titans and Texans. Cleveland at Detroit. The Lions favored by 9.5. I'll go first. I'm taking that bet. Lions are rolling. How about you?
I have to agree with you there. There's no doubt about that.
Your Washington Commanders at the Atlanta Falcons. Rise up, Dirty Birds. Commanders favored by 1.5. You taking it or not?
I'm taking it 100%.
Jaden Daniels is back. I'm with you, buddy. The Philadelphia Eagles fly at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Eagles favored by 3.5. Deal or no deal?
No deal for me.
No, me either. I'm going with the Bucs and Baker Mayfield, the NFL's Cody Fajardo. You heard it here first. Carolina at New England. The Patriots favored by 5.5. Deal or no deal?
Deal for me.
No deal. I think it'll be less than that. Bad game. Chargers at Giants. LA favored by 6.5. Deal or no deal?
No deal for me.
I will take it. Justin Herbert is on a roll. Jacksonville at San Francisco. The 49ers favored by 3.5 at the new Candlestick. Deal or no deal?
Deal for me.
Deal here too, dog. Colts at Rams in my game of the week. Two of the best teams in the NFL right now. Rams favored by 3.5. Deal or no deal?
No deal for me.
Me neither. Chicago Bears at the Las Vegas Raiders. Vegas by 1.5.
I like Chicago and what they're doing, so I'm going to say no deal.
No deal. I'll take the deal because we're big Vegas fans here. Baltimore at Kansas City and Jim Barker's game of the week. Ravens favored by 2.5. Deal or no deal?
Deal.
You are a Ravens fan, huh? I'm not going to take that deal. I'm jumping off the Ravens bandwagon. Green Bay at Dallas. That's who's kidding who. That's the game of the week. Packers by 6.5. Deal or no deal?
No deal. I think Dallas is going to show up here.
I don't. It's a deal from me, dog, and that's my team. And a Monday night doubleheader, Jets at Dolphins, Miami favored by 2.5. Deal or no deal?
Oh, that's a tough one. No deal.
No deal for me either. And Cincinnati at Denver to wind up the week, the Broncos favored by 7.5 at home. I'll go first. It's a deal from me, dog.
I would agree with you on that one as well. Deal for me.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. I know we go fast. That's what Jim Barker said last week. We got about a minute or two with you. Your thoughts after the last couple of days of this show, Stuart Johnston, Jim Barker, what do you think on the CFL rule changes?
I think it's a great debate, and I think it'll be very interesting and a lot of fun to see how it plays out over the season. And again, you got to make progress in everything you do. So this is what I think's happening.
Since it's a deal or no deal segment on the CFL rule changes, all of them together announced this week. Are you a deal or no deal? Give me the sign, Joe. Oh, how about this? He says progress. Is that what you're saying? Progress.
That's right.
Life's about
Yep,
change.
100%.
All right. Joe, thanks for jumping on, buddy. Great job. You have a
Thanks for
great
having
Moose
me.
Jaw weekend.
Enjoy yours as well.
Thank you, buddy. Joe, 747 Gun is joining us here in segment 3 of hour 2 for our NFL bets. It'll be a different person probably every week, but I appreciate Joe jumping on this week. Maybe we'll see him next week. We'll be right back with Overtime, everybody. Sports update and the final viewer takeover of the week right after this on Game Plus TV.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers, Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. It's overtime, everybody, with a lot of juicy stuff to get to. I'll just tell you that if you are a hockey fan, Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary is for you. Longtime partners of the RP Show. Family-run business. It's everything that you would want. An amusement park for hockey players. If you haven't checked it out yet, please do so at 28th Street Northeast, Calgary. Tell Randy and Michelle that the RP Show sent you because they're always there. They started it and they run it. From the text line regarding the CFL rule changes, I certainly don't mind spending all the time on it this week. It's the number one topic across the land. Jim Young, Dirty 30, the Hall of Fame BC Lions receiver, writes in. He says, I'm not a fan, on the Western Dodge text line, he goes, I'm not a fan of the changes, but I'm old, and I want things to stay the same. I didn't like the new kickoff rule in the NFL either. No, but you're getting more kickoffs returned than you have in 20 years, Jim. I'm not sure. Well, I get the info now from the NFL, which reminds me I got more. Saying Tressman never said this, and Alouette staffer told me that the only two media guys that Mark Tressman liked in the CFL was me and Dwayne Ford. I don't even have verification of that, but Greg in Calgary writes in. He says, hi, Rod, you and Dwayne Ford are both great guys. Thank you. I feel like there are more people that Tress liked. I think that's an exaggeration. Here's the news you can use for the ultimate fan zone. The National Football League today announced a multi-year agreement to play a minimum of 3 regular season games over 5 years in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, beginning in 2026 as the NFL prioritizes global expansion and takes its international games to new cities around the world. Florida Panthers captain Alexander Barkov could miss the entire regular season due to a knee injury. Impacting the Panthers' quest for a three-peat, Barkov got hurt Thursday during his first official practice of training camp. He's expected to miss several months, jeopardizing his season and his chance to play in the Olympics for Finland. Barkov led the Panthers in assists last season, was second in points. He's the all-time leader in points in games. He's the face of the team. Panthers fans, specifically Brent in Florida, texting me saying, there goes the three-peat. That's how big of impact player Alexander Barkov is. The American League East title is on the line this weekend as the Toronto Blue Jays and New York Yankees enter the final 3 games tied for first place. The Jays open a home series against the Tampa Bay Rays while the Yankees entertain the Baltimore Orioles. The division winner gets a bye into the American League Division Series while the other heads to a best-of-3 wild card. And the Ryder Cup tees off today at Bethpage Black in New York. Bryson DeChambeau and Justin Thomas lead the host Americans in the opening foursomes against Europe's John Rahm and Tyrrell Hatton. U.S. President Donald Trump is expected to attend. And while we have time, because apparently we do, the back half of the Canada West football season kicks off tonight, and the playoff race is already heating up. Saskatchewan and Regina sit atop the standings at 3-1, but UBC, Calgary, and Manitoba are lurking just a step behind at 2-2. With only 4 tickets to the postseason, every snap matters down the stretch. This weekend's games are UBC at Alberta tonight, and on Saturday, Sask at Calgary and Manitoba at Regina. The sports update is brought to you by Ultimate Fan Zone. Collectors, listen up. Hockey cards, autographs, and fan memorabilia, all at Ultimate Fan Zone. Don't wait. Shop ultimatefanzone.ca. We got through it all. Derek's Positivity Injection podcast writes in. He says, Lions, brother. Commanders beat the Falcons. Mariota or Daniels, don't matter. The entire depth chart and coaching staff is outstanding. As much as the Rod Pedersen Show. Much love, Roddy, from Fargo, NDSU. Thank you, Derek's Positivity Injection podcast. You're not lying. You're a very positive guy. Before I die and leave this crappy world, I want to see the Fargo Dome. I've had to redo my bucket list because I hit everything that I wanted to do. So I had to make a new list. And that's on it. Is it worth it? The Fargo Dome. Oh, Rob in Vegas writes in. He says, Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin are out. When did they announce that? I saw Jaden was throwing all week. John Ohm. I haven't even gonged this thing all day. Says the CFL has been paddling backwards upstream forever. The CFL commissioner bit the bullet by sticking his neck out with these changes. I think it was brave and should be applauded by young and old fans. What I'm glad of is that I got nothing to do with it because of the vitriol being spewed back and forth. And what I mean by that is I'm the captain of change. Trust me, believe me. And I work in this industry. They call it resiliency. All my friends in this recovery business, they call themselves change experts, resiliency coaches. The only thing that's constant in life is change. So I just learned to go with it. Tressman was very upset about these changes. It's all I'll say. And I'm upset every time I turn on the television or radio at what's happened to this business. But it doesn't bother me anymore. I had an old newspaper guy call me last week. He was crying at the state of the newspaper business. I'm like, brah, that was me 4 or 5 years ago. Let's get with it. Aircore writes in, he says, RP, what's the first concert at Taylor Field? LOL. You think I don't know? It was Gordon Lightfoot. I'm joking. I don't know. Which probably was, producer Corey says. But Rich in Edmonton says that Fargo Dome does look crazy, like a giant field house. I think that's exactly what it is. Like, I don't think if I went all the way to Fargo, I might be a little disappointed. It's like Vegas Vacation when they went out to the Grand Canyon. They stood there for 2 seconds, went, time to go. But I got to put something on the bucket list. The last 3 things on there were Jacksonville, Chicago, and New Orleans. I did that all in the last couple of years and been to most sporting facilities I want to do. Very, very, very lucky. Jason in Red Deer says, God, Rod, you and Jim could do a 2-hour show every day. Oh, I know. Absolutely. Okay, be good to yourself and each other, everybody. But most importantly, yourself. And we'll see you back here Monday on the RP Show on Game Plus TV and all your favorite podcast platforms.
Now I'm the whore and the pimp. That's where the money is.
How about that?